Welcome to Guns 101, our video welcome message for new gun owners, brought to you by the Self-Defense Radio Network. I'm Rob Morse from Self-Defense Gun Stories. My partners are Amanda Suffolk from Eye on the Target Radio, and the guy behind the curtain doing the heavy lifting is Paul Lathrop from the Polite Society podcast. We're lucky to have Ben Branam, a firearms instructor and my friend. He's from Modern Self-Protection. Ben, millions of people bought a gun. Given this quarantine and the craziness we've seen around us, they're looking for self-defense instruction. Not all instructors are the same. Who should they look for and who should they avoid?
Yeah, not all instruction is the same, not even close. We're going to go over the quick list of who to avoid because that one's a lot easier to look at. There's a lot of instructors out there. A lot of them are good, a lot of them are bad, and a lot of them are in between. You just want to stay away from the really bad ones. So I have a list of really bad ones I've run in over the years and how to spot them. So the first one is I've been shooting guns my whole life. You can't tell me nothing person. And I've ran into those people so many times, and it's just, they hated me when I was younger because we'd go shooting at the range and I'd start out shooting them. And they're like, let me show you how that's done, kid. And then I start out shooting them and I'm like, what are you going to show me? It's that ego that just gets in the way of all of us at times. So if they have nothing to learn, they've got nothing to teach you. We were talking just before we started. Paul is like, nope, I don't do this instruction thing anymore. He's got a lot to teach you, and he just keeps wanting to learn. His ego doesn't get in the way. He'd make a great instructor. Other people, it's that ego. I've been doing this my whole life. You really want to know what their qualifications are, and I've owned a gun my whole life, or I've been shooting my whole life is not a qualification. I've been doing it my whole life, but that is not why I'm qualified to be an instructor. It's because I've taught thousands of people. I've taken classes, hundreds and hundreds of hours of instructing and instructor classes. That's why I can teach people, but not that I've been doing it my whole life. Oh, those people, those are the worst, right? The other one is the other half of that. It's the gun store commandos. I mean, we go into gun shops and we think that these people are really knowledgeable because they're telling us about the guns and they know all of everything about this gun that you never knew and stuff that's not in the manual and all that stuff. So they seem really knowledgeable, and they probably are about their product line. How to use their product line? Not always. Problem is there's such a small margin in guns that these guys, they're not really the best because, well, I can't make a living selling guns. I would love to. It's one of my favorite things to introduce new people to guns and go out and teach them, and to be able to talk to them at the gun store when they're buying their first gun is incredible. I did it for a couple of years. I was really blessed to be able to make a living for a couple of years. But as most of us that worked in the gun shop, after a while say, I had to go get a real job so I can actually support my family instead of just kind of scraping by. So that's kind of what happens to all the really good people in the gun shops is they go get new jobs. And then you get each other in the gun shop. They're just giving each other knowledge to try to sell guns. They're not giving each other knowledge on how to be a better instructor and how to help you be a better shooter. They're giving instruction on how to sell guns. And if you go stand around a gun shop long enough, you will hear the myth of the stopping power of the 45. Nothing beats it. Nothing else. You know, if it doesn't have a 4 in the front of it, you shouldn't be shooting it. Or I carry a 45 because they don't make a 46. I mean, these things have been around for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And as we get more and more advanced in technology, some of those sayings were true 50 years ago. But, you know, look at the cars from 50 years ago and look at your car now. Look at the computers we're all using right now compared to what the phones were. Well, our knowledge has grown that much in the gunfighting industry, too. We didn't really start studying this stuff until the 50s and 60s. So we're learning at an astronomical rate. If guys aren't keeping up, they're not going to help you, and you're going to get stuff that's old. Like, you know, I carry a 45 because I can't carry a 46. So avoid the gun store commandos. Dislike. And I got two more. So one of them, I'm going to step on a sacred cow here. Just because you're military and law enforcement doesn't mean that you're a certified instructor. And all of us on the call are shaking our head in agreement because we know we've seen them where they're supposed to be the professionals. And they are, because they carry a gun for a living. But a lot of them don't take it that way. Some of them take it as it's part of their job. They're kind of a delivery guy kind of attitude, and I go there, I help people, I get the job done, and I go home. They're not really into the whole gun culture and getting better. Plus, if they've never instructed outside of the law enforcement or military, it's a whole different world when you get out there with law enforcement and military. I remember having discussions with a chief of police who's a high-level instructor and teaches at tons of local law enforcement academies here. And he's telling me to do things that I would consider marginally unsafe. It would be better to do it this other way. And he says, no, we have the cadets do it this way. And if you do it that way, I'll kick you off the line and you'll never be a cop. So they don't have those discussions. We got 30, 40, 50 people on the line. What's the safest way for all 50 of these people to do whatever we're trying to get done? May not be the safest individually, is what I've come to find out. Plus, they teach a different thing. A law enforcement gunfight is very different than you trying to defend your house. And a military gunfight, whoo boy, I was in the military, in the Marine Corps, been there, done that overseas, got the pin, all that good stuff. And what I did in the military, it has some application once the bullets start flying. But before that, your mindset, how you work, how you maneuver, and actually how I use the gun are in very, very different ways. Military, we have this cool thing called suppressive fire. I can put out all the bullets I'm carrying on me at people and have no problem with that. In the civilian world, you got a big problem with that. You cannot just throw bullets widely into the air and hopefully nobody gets hurt. It's not that way, and that's not what good people should do. If you're in combat and it's only you and the enemy, that's different. If you're on a city street where there's a lot of other people around, you don't want that mentality creeping into how you're going to learn how to fight. So maybe military, and I say this, and I've got these three horrible people for you. I'm in all three of these camps. I've been shooting guns my whole life. I was a gun store clerk for a long time, and I was in the military for 10 years, and I'm a trained police officer. So yeah, I'm in all of these camps, but I'm telling you, you need something on top of that. You need that really to get rid of that ego. We can go always back to that. If you're a guy, Amanda, you could probably, tell all of us this. If it's a guy teaching you, that ego is going to get in the way. And it only took me 15 years of instruction to figure out how to get rid of my ego. And every once in a while, I feel it creeping back in there. And I'm like, no, not that. You're trying to help people. Your ego doesn't matter. You don't matter. It matters to help people. So you got to watch out for that ego. And then there's one other person that you don't want to have instruct. And this is the easy one. It's your significant other. Ladies, your boyfriend, guys, your girlfriend or your wife or any of that stuff. Even as a professional instructor, I don't teach my wife. I send her to other people to learn. I've taught her a little bit because she asks. When she asks questions, I do it. But man, the only way I've ever been able to teach my wife how to shoot at all is I've taught women-only classes. And I'm like, honey, why don't you come and fill out the class? Because, I've got 4 women or 5 women in it. It would be great to have 5 or 6. And she's one of those people that's always fun to be around, completely opposite of me. So that's why we got married. So she can sell the class better than I can, and people have fun when she's around. So I always drag her in. But that is the only way I can do it, is when I have this large group of people that I'm teaching, and she is part of it. Me one-on-one, oh God. She might shoot me because she might get upset. No, I'm just kidding. She wouldn't do that. But
I so agree. I don't think that your significant other can teach you how to shoot, ride a motorcycle, or drive a stick shift. Those are just step away, get somebody else to do it. You teach their wife, they teach yours. Don't do it. So those are very good pointers, because really what you're looking for is an instructor. I think the anti to everything you said was ask your instructor, when was the last class they took? Because when they don't take a class, when they say, I know enough that I don't have to be a student any longer, then they're not going to be the instructor for me, because I want an instructor who is curious, who is perpetually a student, and who learns that they're going to learn from other instructors and they're going to learn from their students. So I don't think that there's a class that I teach that I don't get something from one of the students that I'm like, that's a gem and I'm going to use it, or I'm going to keep it, or I'm going to put that one in my pocket, because there's so much good stuff. There's so different ways of looking at things. So that's really good to give us advice on what instructors to avoid. What instructors to look for? Go find the curious ones, go find the perpetual students, go find the ones who think that your experience is more important than their experience. And that's the summary of what Ben Branam is saying to us. Look Ben up. Ben's an instructor at modernselfprotection.com. He also does videos, blogs, all kinds. He's kind of a big deal.
Check
all kinds
his
of
website.
stuff. Yeah. modernselfprotection.com.